Okay, guys, so we're still on assignment 26. This is only the multiple choice part, so if you did really well, according to my comments on the FRQs, just watch this one, and vice versa. All right. If you did great on these and I said perfect, and you only got to watch the FRQ one, watch the other one. I'll put that in the description. All right, so I'm going to try to do this fast so we can get to that email that I got from the College Board this morning. And I'll explain that to you. If this takes a little longer than I thought, haha, when does it not? I'll make a third video for that. That'll be real short. It's only a couple things, and it's mostly about the glitches they've been having. Hopefully, none of you have experienced yet. Okay, so here we go. First one up, I'm going to do is number 23. Okay, so 23 asked you, and I didn't put in all the extra letters and stuff. Only what was pertinent to us. Which of the following segments of the marginal cost curve lie entirely on the firm's short-run supply curve? Okay, so this is one that we should not mess up. Where is your shutdown decision? Your shutdown point is at minimum ABC. Okay, anything below that, you're F, shut it down right away. All right, anything above that, you're still you're covering all your variable costs, a little bit of your fixed cost. You're better off producing in the short run. All right, so that is a segment of TUV. Anything on that marginal cost curve above point T, you want to continue to produce in the short run, even though you're making a loss between T and U. Between T and U, you're still making a loss, but you're better off than shutting down and incurring all those fixed loss. At U, you're just breaking even, and then anything above U, because it's above ATC, you're earning profit. So that was choice A. Number 23 was A. Okay, because the important point there for our test this year is that ABC, the minimum of ABC, is your shutdown point. If you're below it, shut down right away. If you're above it, keep going in the short run. If you can, get out, right? And then you'll break even when you hit point U, or price 2. Okay, that's the first one. Let me pause and get the second one up there. Okay, guys, so this was number 49, and I threw this on there because when I saw it, I freaked out because it didn't have numbers on the axes, right? If you saw me my whiteout, I didn't white out anything to try to like trick you or give you an extra challenge. I didn't white out the numbers. There were no numbers. I whited out the numbers that I put in because that's how I decided to do this, right? You might be able to just kind of look at the slopes and, okay, France is clearly better at both things than Britain is, and do it that way in your head. Because, again, this was only a multiple choice question. I don't trust my math skills enough to do that. So I decided I'll just put in my own numbers, and then I'll work it out that way. Okay, so let me do that. Okay, so I added my numbers, and that way I can just do it the way that I've always taught you. This is an output question. This is a question about output, right? The other thing that you're talking about goes on top, right? Other thing goes on top when you're talking about output. That's going to come up in another question that's about inputs. This is about output. So write your sentence if you need to. Once again, I've never seen a comparative advantage question on a free response question. Never, never. But it's an important topic. They said they're going to change things up a little bit this year. It could come up this year. We should know it. Okay, so write your sentence. For France, 1 rye costs other thing on top, 20 cattle. 20 over 10 equals 2 cattle. For Great Britain, 1 rye costs other thing over 18 over 5, or around 3.6 cattle. So France, it costs them less cattle every time they make a rye. So France should be producing the rye. So France produces rye, Great Britain produces cattle, and they'll both be better off. Okay, so just a quick review. Even though France is better at both, when they max out, France can make more rye or more cattle than Britain can when they max out. But they can focus on the thing that they're either better at or at least a little bit less worse at. and they can trade. So other ways they could ask this question. Great Britain should be focusing on producing cattle and exporting cattle. Exporting cattle and importing rye. France should be focusing on producing rye, exporting rye, importing cattle. Okay, so this question actually should have been D because A says Britain has a comparative advantage in cattle, which is true. So if you pick that, you didn't really know your choices because D also says France has a competitive advantage in rye, which is also true. So it was A and D. Again, if you could do that in your head just based off of the slopes and where everything is, good for you. If you saw that and freaked out like I did that there was no numbers, just add them in. Add in some numbers and work it out, right? And you have calculators this year, so there's no excuse, okay? You always have a comparative advantage in something. Always, 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 all right? Okay, let me pause and get the next one up. Okay, so here we have an input question that changes the game, right? Again, Brazil's just better at everything. Brazil only takes them 2 hours of labor to make corn versus 4 hours in Spain. And in Brazil, it only costs them 8 hours of labor to make a shoe, a pair of shoes, whatever. Whereas it takes them 12 hours in Spain. Okay, so Brazil's just better. But there's always going to be something, and again, that means that they have an absolute advantage in both goods. But there's always going to be something that Spain is just a little bit not as bad at that they can do and they can trade. But you have to flip-flop your formula because this is talking about input, hours of labor versus output. Right, so in this case, the other thing goes under, IOU. Input, other thing under, right? So in Brazil, one corn costs them other thing under, right? So 2 over 8, or 1/4 of a shoe. In Spain, one corn costs, again, other thing under, so 4 hours over 12 hours, or 1/3 of a shoe. So what does that tell us? That tells us that Brazil, they give up less in terms of shoes. 1/4 is less than 1/3, right? They give up less in terms of shoes when making their corn. So Brazil should do corn, Spain should do shoes, and they should trade, and they'll both be better off. Okay, so that was choice, what number is this? 31. That was choice D. Brazil will import corn and export shoes. So in that case, it's a little bit more of a reading question. You might know the answer, just had to read a little bit more carefully. Go through these though. Letter A, Brazil will export both corn and shoes. Makes no sense. Everybody's going to have a comparative advantage in something. You're always going to, on questions like this, you're going to export something and import something. Spain will export both corn. Again, no matter who has the absolute advantage, there's always something that can be traded for mutual benefit. C, no mutually beneficial trades can occur. That was one of the first 12 principles we learned all year. There's always mutually beneficial trades that can occur, so that makes no sense. So really right there, again, there's no multiple choices here, but if there were, or if this comes up in one of your micro classes next year in college, A, B, and C, kick them all out. They're all nonsense and ridiculous, and you shouldn't even give them a thought. The only ones you should think about are D and E, and basically saying, what does Brazil have the comparative advantage in? And what they have the comparative advantage in is, what do we say, is corn, okay? So they're going to export corn and import shoes, not the opposite, which is letter E. All right, so 31 should have been D. Okay, a couple more on the other side, and then we're done. I'll talk to you about the College Board email. Okay, so as soon as you see this, guys, it's a straight line, and they're telling you that it's a PPC. It's a production possibility curve, possibility frontier. As soon as you see it's a straight line, the first thing that pops into your head should be that these resources are interchangeable, all right? And that it's a constant rate of exchange. For every unit of barley that you give up, you get the exact same amount of increase in peas, and vice versa. Every time you get rid of 1 bushel of peas, you get 1 more bushel of barley, okay? So the one that said that best was on 42 was B. The nation's resources are equally suitable for producing peas and barley. Okay, it's a constant trade-off. Normally, what this looks like is that because it's not a constant trade-off, and we have what we call increasing costs. Okay? Each time you give up one more unit of barley, each time you get one more unit of peas, it's costing you more in barley. Right? That first unit of barley you give up to get some more peas, it don't cost you that much barley, but as you go, it's costing you more and more and more and more and more barley. Right? For less peas that you're getting back. Okay, so the curve is not valid because the production possibility curve must concave. No, it doesn't. Right? Usually it looks like this, but it is possible to look like that. With an additional unit of barley not produced, the nation can produce a larger amount of peas. No, that's the same thing on D. The nation has increasing opportunity costs. No, it's constant. Okay, this is increasing opportunity costs. All right. The next one I don't have to draw anything for. Mr. Ray is a business owner of a competitive firm. He's trying to decide whether to shut down his firm in the short run. Which factors should Mr. Ray analyze to help him decide? We did this just a couple questions ago. In the short run, what matters? Is he above or at minimum AVC? If he's below, he shuts down. If he's at, it's a coin flip. If he's above, keep going for now. So what choice says that? Average variable cost and marginal revenue. Sounds good because marginal revenue is price. Let's just check. Total revenue and total cost, no. Total fixed cost and total revenue, no. Price and average total cost, no. And price and marginal benefit, no. Okay, so 115 is A, right? Average variable cost and marginal cost, or marginal revenue, because again, marginal revenue is price. So that's telling you those are the two things that you want to look at. So 115 should be A. All right, and then I think we missed one along the way somewhere. We did. We missed 50. I'll go back to that in a second. Okay, 114 is that weird looking curve that you probably looked at and were like, what the hell is that? I've never seen one that looks like that. Okay, yes, they're going to throw new stuff at you, but go slow and really think about it, especially if it's, again, it's not multiple choice, but if it was, so go through it. I mean, well, you know what it looks like. So the answer is A, right? That's a total cost curve. I'm going to skip over that and talk about that in a second. A total revenue curve. You know what a total revenue curve is? You're not going to continue making that much revenue. It's not going to keep going up. Law of diminishing returns and all that, right? So that's not a good choice. No increasing returns in the early stages of production. Again, that and letter E, diminishing returns, those are about the long run average total cost curve. That's sure ain't a long run average total cost curve, right? You guys know that one. It's you've seen it plenty of times. It's the gigantic U. All right, so if you're talking about returns to scale, that's a long run phenomenon, right? So if it's long run, that's the type of thing we're looking for, okay? Why is letter C no good? Because again, it's about returns. A fixed variable cost curve. What the hell is that? A fixed variable. It's an oxymoron right there. There's a fixed cost curve. There's a variable cost curve, and there's a total cost curve. There's no such thing as a fixed variable cost curve. That's just stupid. I apologize if anybody picked that. That's not a great choice. So it's a total cost curve. How do you know that at first glance that it's got to be a total cost curve? Again, you know the other shapes. Mr. Cool, always trying to be cool, always vainly attempting to be cool. Well, this one starts above zero. Okay? If it starts above zero, that must mean there was some cost already incurred here, right? So what does that mean? If I already had if it already cost me something before I made a single unit, that means that this area here, up to whatever that price is, like the $2, is my fixed cost. Okay, so if I'm already starting with my fixed cost included, this must be, and it's not a U shape, it can't be my variable cost, this has got to be my total cost, right? And again, it's not average total cost, because if it was average total cost, we know that it would be a U shape. All right, so we never really spoke about a total cost curve. We always talk about the average cost curves and the average fixed cost, average total cost, average variable cost. All right, but here they threw a new one at you, and that's just your total cost. Your total cost continues to increase. Okay, and if you work your way through it, hopefully you would have got it. All right, the one I skipped, number 50. Okay, only in about 15 minutes. Production is allocatively efficient at point. Now this one, I think, at least the book I got this from was trying to throw you a curveball, because they gave you this right after some questions about production possibility curves and comparative advantage and blah, 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 and that would have been in your head. So your first thought probably was going to be about production possibility curves and anything on a production possibility curve being productively efficient. But that's not what they asked, right? It says production is allocatively efficient at 8 points, and if I just asked that to you, bumping into you on the street or as a do now on the first thing we did during the class, you would have nailed it. But I think because it had come after a question about production possibility curves, anything on the curve is efficient. So that's why I think a lot of you went with A, anywhere on the production possibility curve. No, anywhere on the production possibility curve is productively efficient. It doesn't mean it's allocatively efficient. You wanted B, where marginal benefit equals marginal cost. We said that earlier, maybe it was on the last video, where the last unit produced costs the producer just as much as that last unit, the last purchaser is willing to purchase that last unit for. So that's B. To the right of the production possibility curve is impossible unless you get better trained workers or better technology or more resources or more workers or something like that. To the left of the production possibility curve is inefficient. You're underutilizing your resources. And when marginal benefit exceeds marginal cost, no, that's not X marks the spot. All right, the consumers are doing better than the producers. Okay, I'm going to look over my notes for from the email this morning. Wasn't that much, but a couple important things in case anything goes wrong, which I really hope it doesn't. So this should not take too much longer, and then we'll be done. Okay, so here's what I got this morning. Anything goes wrong, you're going to get a chance to email them right away. Right away, email them, say it didn't submit, glitch, something happened, all right? And they're going to allow you to submit your responses through an email, but it's got to be right away. It can't be like 5 hours later, oh yeah, you know what, I decided I changed my answer, and now I'll try to say something went wrong. So email them right away. Take a picture or a screenshot of a successful submission, just so there's no way they can come back and be like, hey, sorry, it said we got it, but we didn't. When you're finished, you're either going to get this message, congrats, your AP exam is complete. I have the smiley face, College Board, they're not happy people, so they're not going to do that. Unfortunately, you might get one that says we did not receive your response. Okay, if that happens, you're going to get a specific email just for you to email to. Right, you'll be the only one in the entire world who gets that specific email. Upload or attach your work to that email and send it through. Okay, that should get you through. If that still doesn't work for some reason, then you're going to have to take it in June, right? But I think this is a pretty easy fix. All of you should be using Google Docs. You don't have to draw any sketches, right? There shouldn't be any of those issues. So type up your stuff on a Google Doc, put your number on the top left corner, put your initials right below that, right? Submit that. If it doesn't submit for whatever reason, right, you'll get the link or the email to send it to, attach it to that email, and you should be fine. Okay, you shouldn't hear any screams like you hear upstairs right now from my lunatic playing Xbox. All right. All right, so please, please, please make sure you do that. But here's the other thing they said, which I think makes sense. Try to demo in multiple ways, right? If for whatever reason you were thinking I'm going to cut and paste, and you can't cut and paste, make sure you're able to upload a picture, or make sure you're able to upload a doc, or whatever it is, right? But they say try that demo in multiple ways. There's no penalty for that. You can try the demo 15 times, see what works best for you, or what you're most confident in that will work. All right, because really, guys, this is all crazy stuff, but there's you want to make sure that you've made every possible attempt to make sure that your work is going to get through. And if for whatever reason it doesn't, it's not your fault. It's College Board's fault, which most things in the world are. Just kidding. That it's College Board's fault and not yours. Okay, so make sure that you can say that you've exhausted all opportunities and efforts. All right, I have a couple more notes here. Just going to pause one more time, then we'll be done. Okay, so last couple things, guys. If you're doing handwritten work that you want to take a picture of, I do not think any of you should do that for this exam. Most of your handwriting is awful. Hate to tell you, I've been telling you all year. You don't have to do any sketches. Just type it up, man. Right? The questions they're going to ask you this year are going to be conducive to that. If you do take a picture, make sure it's medium size. I don't know what most of these things mean. You might. Make sure it's either PNG, JPG, or JPEG. That sounds kind of familiar. But they said no HEIC, whatever the heck that means. If you're taking pictures, don't do it in a version that's HEIC. If you're putting pictures on a PDF, one PDF per question, and make sure if there's multiple pictures on that PDF, make sure it's in order that the questions go. So like A1, A2, A3, B, B1, B2, like that. If you're copying and pasting, again, I don't think we should be, but if you're copying and pasting and you run into an issue, there's going to be a button or something you can click on that says clear field. Not clear fief, sorry. Clear field. All right. And then again, maybe check out the other video I did for all the other things, but I'm assuming most of you have taken an AP already this year. If you haven't, do that demo, do it multiple times, make sure you have the way that you want to do it, make sure you're all set up. Again, make sure family members and household members know you're taking it and leave you alone. Maybe put earplugs in if you need to. Make sure everything's charged and ready to go. Have a calculator, have that cheat sheet I gave you. I'm going to do something for you guys on Monday. We're basically going to take you through every possible graph and sketch that they could ever ask you for, right? So if you watch that video, you'll have all those in front of you with some notes on them, right? So there's really no excuse for us not getting it done this year, right? We've done a bunch of anything that doesn't involve a graph, game theory, and maximizing utility or maximizing production as far as how many workers to hire and that stuff. We've been beating the hell out of that the last couple days. The graphs, like I said, I'm gonna do a long video like that or for that on Monday, right? You'll have all of that in front of you. There's nothing that they're gonna ask you that they could ask you that is gonna be like, oh my God, what is this? We've never done this. You should have it all there. This should be like the easiest year ever to get a 4 or a 5. If you're doing and have been doing what you should be doing. All right, so don't be scared. We should be very confident. Just make sure that again, maybe kick brothers and sisters off the Wi-Fi. Make sure you're not using Internet Explorer. Get Grammarly off of your computer, at least for our 45-minute exam. Make sure everything's charged. Make sure you got everything there. And that's it. And be ready to take a picture of your submitted form or your message that you successfully completed the exam, and be ready to email real quick if anything does go wrong. All right. So only a couple days left, guys, and then like I said, I promise I will ease off. I got to give you some work, but it'll be much more spaced out and relaxed. I'll start beating up on my 10th graders a little bit more at that point, and Please, please, please let me know if there's anything I can help out with. Those of you who are, still taking this thing. Assignment number 27, I got a grade, all right? So I'll grade that, and if it seems like we did pretty well, I don't know if I'll make a video for it, but if we struggle like we did on this one, I'll get a video up on that as soon as I can. All right? All right. Be well, everybody.